Welcome back. It's time to get some relationship tips. We have David Hebb joining us on the show. He is the owner and counselor at Fortitude Counselling and Consulting. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, good to see you again. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. It's great to have you.
Thank you.
We're talking about the fact that we all have relationship troubles, but even in the long haul, with a healthy established relationship, you still need to nurture and work on that on a consistent basis.
Absolutely, no question. I mean, the weather forecast you just gave was unfortunately somewhat depressing for the long weekend, but hey, if you have some time and you're inside, why not work on your relationship, right?
Why not?
All kidding aside, you know, Susan, it's absolutely true. You have to make sure that you're proactive working on things after the relationship has been established, because just by doing that allows you to stay current, to stay aware, and to make sure you're actually working on something that has meaning instead of just taking for granted something you think is doing okay.
And as we all know, it's the little things that bug us over the long haul. So those little things can turn up into big things if you don't address them.
Yeah, the big things are obvious. The little things are a little bit more subtle. And those are the things that if they pile up, then you realize you have maybe a little bit more of a difficulty than what you had anticipated. And so the proactive way of working on those things is very helpful.
Couple of boards. Should we get to those?
Yeah, sure, let's do that.
Let's see what we have here.
So the first one I've titled, you know, there's more to a house than just the foundation. There's some cliches that fly around, say, you know, if we have a strong foundation, we can get through anything. And for the most part, that's right. But there's many more parts to a house that make it a home, right? So if you look at this board, the first one, you know, create shared meanings. Those type of things in your relationship that make it meaningful. Make sure it's something that you're allowing the other person to know about you. What's meaningful in your life? And take the time to get to know them as well. You know, making life dreams come true. That sounds extremely kind of cliche and corny, but really, if you're going to spend the better part of your life with someone, it's important that you understand what's important to them and they understand what's important to you in terms of dreams and aspirations.
Absolutely. Managing conflict, of course, huge.
Yeah, and that's the one that we've kind of bounced around the last couple times I've been on. And you're right, it is huge. Conflict is one of the unfortunate parts of a relationship sometimes, but can still be looked as something that can promote growth and understanding.
If you take the time to sort through it all.
Absolutely.
And then the positive perspective.
And you know, there's often something we talk about in therapy, and it's a term coined by Carl Rogers, who was kind of the forefathers of psychotherapy, called unconditional positive regard. That's taking the situation that looks really bad, but finding that one little silver lining in it to make it so that you can find something positive out of it.
Awesome. And turn towards.
Yeah, so turning towards is essentially what it sounds like. If you're in a difficult situation or your relationship is needing a little bit more kind of attention, turn towards what that looks like instead of turning away in avoidance. So look towards things like, you know, how do I make it better? What's my role in a situation? And how can I encourage the other person to have more meaning in the role? That'll help us.
Okay, what else is there? Share fondness and admiration and build love maps.
Yeah, absolutely. And these two can kind of go together. Building love maps is all about knowing what the other person needs to make them feel better and letting them know what works for you. And if you share your admiration and fondness, it's a really good segue into doing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's see the next board.
Yeah, this one's just real quick. I kind of put together a few kind of relationship questions I use in my practice that are not the big, heavy kind of questions that people often associate with therapy, right? Things like, can I list my partner's relatives that they don't appreciate the most? What about what members of our family maybe they do not like? You know, I know what stresses my partner and what stresses they are currently facing. And, you know, maybe the last one, I can tell you in detail my first impressions of my partner. You know, as we're together with someone longer, sometimes we forget how we felt about them the first time we met them. And looking at those kind of things really allows us to keep things fresh.
And also, if that doesn't appeal to you, there's a board game you can get online. Let's talk about it. It's called Couples Retreat.
Yeah, it's pretty fantastic. And this is a board game that comes from the Gottman Institute, who I frequently reference on the show. And you know, it's a game that has a full board and cards and scenarios. You get passports. You actually go on a bit of a retreat with your partner and look at the things in your relationship that you want to celebrate and the things that maybe you want to find out a little bit more about. So it's like a bit of a retreat from everyday life that allows you to make purposeful, meaningful effort towards your relationship. It's a great way of having a little bit of fun and showing some meaningful thought.
Clients that you've worked with, have they used this? Has it been helpful?
Yep, they have. And you know, it can be purchased on Amazon. And I quite often make the recommendations that folks do that. I also recommend books and different YouTube videos and things like that. But this is a great way of having people just kind of be a little bit more attentive to some of their things in their relationship.
Fantastic. Some great things to think about today, David. Thank you for being here.
Very good. Thank you, Susan.
Very welcome. CounselingCounseling.ca is the website. If you would like to talk to David, maybe set up an appointment, learn more about the game. Information's on the screen. We're back in a quick minute. Stay with us.